Energy Program, CPACE for short, concentrating on project management as well as supporting and educating contractors and project developers on how using CPACE financing can help create new opportunities to grow their business. She also serves on the Governor's Council for Climate Change. Welcome, Alysse.
Thank you. Thank you, Heather. Thanks, everybody. Really honored to be here with you all today. So I just wanted to say a quick hey. I'm going to actually turn my video off while I do my presentation just to save my bandwidth. So as Heather mentioned, my name is Alysse Buzzelli. I work for the Connecticut Green Bank. I focus primarily on the CPACE financing program, which is what we're going to talk about today. So really quickly, just some background on the Connecticut Green Bank for those of you who are not familiar with our organization. The Connecticut Green Bank is a quasi-state organization, and we were formed really with the main mission of trying to deploy as much clean energy in the state as possible. And we do that by leveraging the public dollars that we get to attract private capital investment into the market. We administer many different programs across all of the different sectors, residential, institutional, as well as commercial. And the main financing program, as I mentioned, or as Heather mentioned as well, is the CPACE program, which is what we'll be talking about today. But first, just wanted to kind of touch on some of the challenges, the energy challenges that building owners are facing. So I'm sure most of these are not going to be a surprise to those of you listening in. But while we have a wonderful, historic, beautiful building stock here in Connecticut, it's pretty old, right? We've got a lot of inefficient buildings and a lot of unpredictable energy costs that go along with those kind of, big, beautiful, but kind of leaky and inefficient buildings. So there's a lot of options out there. I'm sure you've heard, probably a lot of you have gotten calls from solar companies before. Maybe I've talked to utility companies about the different options that are out there, but it can be kind of challenging to know what to do with all of those options and how to deal with them, what you should do and what you shouldn't do. So, working with the CPACE program is something that can kind of help you navigate through that, and also try to help you take some control of those energy challenges that you are facing by helping to reduce the amount of energy you're using in your buildings, and really make them more efficient and more comfortable for everybody. So CPACE financing, CPACE stands for Commercial Property Assessed Clean Energy, and it's a financing solution that makes clean energy upgrades accessible to commercial property owners in Connecticut. And I'll kind of run through it here. So this is really what I like to call CPACE in a nutshell, and I'll go through these in a little bit of detail so we can really understand them. So the first one here, financing available to commercial properties for clean energy upgrades. So commercial properties, that really encompasses anything that is not a residential property or a municipal or state property. So pretty much everything in between there. That includes office buildings, nonprofits, multifamily properties of 5 units or greater are considered commercial. As I mentioned, nonprofits, houses of worship, all of those would fall under the commercial category. And clean energy upgrades really cover anything that will help to save money on your utility bills. So think of your fuel and your electric bills. So really anything that'll help to lower those bills. Of course, I'm sure a lot of you are thinking, lighting upgrades, LED retrofits, things like that. HVAC improvements, mechanical systems would certainly qualify. But other things like insulation, window upgrades, building controls, all of those things would also qualify for CPACE. And then of course, that's really on the efficiency side. And then on the other side, we have the renewable energy options. So things that create energy from a renewable source, such as solar PV or geothermal. Those would also be qualifying measures for CPACE. And then the next box here, we have 100% low cost long-term funding. So our financing terms range anywhere from 5 to 25 years. And really the idea behind, creating a product that allows for such long terms is because we understand that clean energy upgrades are kind of a special thing, and that they don't, always pay themselves back in a year or two. So what we did with CPACE financing, or really what PACE financing is about, is being able to spread your payments out over a long period of time. So you're able to actually realize the savings from all of these energy improvements that you're making, and spread those, not only your payments out, but your savings out over a long period of time as well. So you end up making small payments over a long term, which allows for that positive cash flow. And then these last two boxes kind of go hand in hand. So the owner repays the assessment as a senior assessment placed on the property, and the assessment stays with the property. So I'll talk about these a little bit more. So PACE, as we mentioned, stands for Property Assessed Clean Energy. So the assessment that gets placed on the property is very similar to like a water or a sewer assessment, another benefit assessment that you might get, but that one would come from the town, right? So if they, put in a new water line, or your town puts in a new sidewalk or something along those lines, you would take part in paying for that. So the repayment mechanism is actually the same with CPACE. So the assessment for your clean energy project gets placed on the property, and you're repaying that through an assessment that you would be paying just like your other assessments or real estate taxes in the town that your property's in. So it's a familiar way to repay. You'd follow the same cycle that your tax, whatever your tax cycle is in that town would be. You'd get a bill from your town. Let's say you're in the city of Hartford, for example. You complete a project. Let's say you put some new solar panels on your roof, and you have a new HVAC system to go along with it. Once you start your repayment, the city of Hartford would actually issue you your CPACE bill. So we work very closely with the towns to do that. And you would repay that through your bill with the city of Hartford, and then Hartford collects all the payments and gives them back to the Green Bank. But one of the other benefits here, moving on to the last bucket here, or the last box, is that the assessment stays with your property regardless of ownership. So there's a few differences between CPACE financing and kind of traditional bank financing that you might get, like a construction loan. One of them is the fact that the assessment stays with the property. So just like your real estate taxes would, you wouldn't have to repay your whole real estate taxes for the next 100 years if you decided to move your building. The same is true with your CPACE assessment. So you put in these great solar panels, this new HVAC system, but in 5 years you decide, you know what, I'm going to move my business to another part of town, or maybe another state. Because all of that equipment is going to remain with the building. All of the energy savings will also remain with the building. So therefore, when the new owner comes in, they would continue to pay that assessment. So if you're only 5 years into a 20-year assessment, as long as you're current, when you move to your new building and the new owner takes over, they would continue to pay for the next 15 years of the assessment. So that's pretty much CPACE in a nutshell here. And I know that was probably a lot in a short time, so I'm happy to answer some questions at the end. But really, it's a financing product that's built around clean energy and built around making sure that you've got enough savings to actually make your payments. And that brings me to this little infographic here. So this kind of shows you visually what I just said there in terms of having enough money left over or having enough money to actually make your repayments. So on the left, the gray box here, we've got your typical commercial and industrial building. So that's pretty much where we're at now, right? We've got everybody in your building, you've got your fuel bills, you've got your electric bills, and that's how you're paying. You're just paying the utility companies. And then on the right-hand side, we've got the same building, but now with CPACE financing and CPACE and energy efficiency upgrades that have gone into the building. So you'll see that at the bottom, you still have an energy bill, right? So maybe the energy upgrades that you made are covering now, let's say they're reducing your bill by 70%. So you're still paying the utility companies that remaining 30%, but now you've got this new equipment, so you're saving money. The blue bar here represents the energy upgrade repayment, so that's your CPACE payment. And the pink bar at the top shows you the actual savings. So the savings above the blue bar here, the pink bar, is your savings after you've actually made your repayment. So even though you're paying the utility companies a portion of the bill you used to be paying, and you're paying CPACE you're repaying your CPACE assessment, you're still ending up with that remaining pink bar at the top, that positive cash flow. And that's something that's, it's a requirement of the program. We make sure that all of our projects meet this positive savings number. And it's something that we do when we do our underwriting. We make sure that that's actually happening with every CPACE project. And so this is just a quick snapshot of where we are to date. This is actually as of the end of the second calendar quarter here. So this is as of the end of June. But you can see we've had pretty good success here in Connecticut with CPACE projects. So we've been around now for just about 8 years. And this is showing you the cumulative closed projects that we've had. So at the end of June, we were at just over 300 projects. And that equates to about $173 million in project financing, which is great. Been able to help a lot of building owners make the required energy upgrades that they need to make their buildings more comfortable. And this kind of gives you a breakdown of the projects that we're seeing. So really the one thing I want to point out in terms of the project sizes, we really don't have a maximum project size. We're really going to look at, what your property can handle, what you can handle, what your property can handle in terms of your upgrades. We're not going to, of course, put an assessment on your property that's going to put you underwater. That's not going to help anybody. So we want to make sure we're falling in those underwriting guidelines properly. But I did want to point out that the minimum project size we can finance is $30,000. There are some other products out there. The utility companies have a great small business program that you can utilize if you're looking at, some smaller projects that might be under that 30K mark. But for the most part, we see projects of all different shapes and sizes. And the average here, you can see about the 500 mark. But again, we're seeing, a good amount of projects under 100K, as well as, a few that come through that are over $1 million or $2 million. And then the pie chart in the upper part of the slide here just kind of gives you a breakdown of the types of projects we're seeing. The 71%, the biggest chunk there is renewable energy. And those, again, are projects that are producing energy from a renewable source, such as solar. And I can tell you that solar is really the lion's share of that 71%. We do a lot of solar PV in Connecticut. Of course, we all know we have really high electric rates. So pairing solar, the savings you get from just installing the solar system, pairing that with long-term financing and the other incentives that are available through the utilities and the investment tax credit, it's really a home run. And then the small blue pie chart piece there, that is the 15% is efficiency. So that's really just products and projects that are using technologies that are saving energy, such as lighting upgrades or mechanical systems. And then the green section, the combined, is usually a solar PV project plus some efficiency measures. So again, all different size projects and all different types of projects as well. And then this gives you a good breakdown of the types of properties we're helping. Again, any property that is not a residential property and is not a city or a municipal or a state property would be eligible for CPACE. So again, pretty good spread here, right? We've got industrial, office, nonprofits, retail facilities, restaurants are also eligible. Pretty much any type of commercial property. And again, a pretty good spread here of who we're helping. None are really kind of better than others. You know, we're really seeing a lot of different types of properties take advantage. And then this just gives a quick snapshot of some of the types of upgrades we can offer. We've talked through a lot of them already, but again, just throwing them out there, not an exhaustive list by any means, but anything, again, that will help to save money on your utility bills, on your fuel or your electric bills would qualify for CPACE. Okay, and now I have two quick case studies to show you. The first one here, this is a solar system that we did with a company, Crest Mechanical in Hartford. So the first snapshot here, it's a 55 kW roof-mounted solar system. When I go to the next slide, I'll show you the kind of what that looked like. But the big thing to look at here is the projected energy savings, that over $400,000 of energy savings over the life of the upgrades. And there's a really nice shot of the building. You can actually see this building from the highway, from 84 in Hartford. If you look really closely, you might be able to catch a glimpse of the panels. But this kind of gives you a breakdown of what we did for Crest Mechanical. So they financed about $145,000 worth of investment. But again, just wanted to point out that lifetime energy cost savings of over $400,000. So certainly meeting that, you know, saving a lot more money than you're actually investing in the project. And there's a nice little quote from Paul Breglio, the CEO of Crest Mechanical. But again, being able to take control of their energy costs by producing some energy from a renewable source like the sun, and being able to rely on that was huge for this company. They manufacture different metal products. So of course, a lot of energy usage there, being a manufacturing facility. And then this is another option or another case study kind of on the other side of the coin. So this is Calvary Temple Christian Center in Bridgeport. And these folks were having a really hard time heating their building with their old boiler and their old fuel system, excuse me. So we have a video that goes along with this, actually, that's on our website, and it's a great video. Pastor Thompson explains how he would have to run over in the morning on cold days before service and try to get this boiler to turn on, so they could actually hold service. And there were days where they couldn't because it was too cold and they could not get their boiler to work. So this was really an important measure for them to be able to do. So they installed a new high efficiency gas boiler, and they did a fuel conversion from oil to gas. And again, they financed just over $50,000. But if you look at that lifetime savings number, over $250,000 in energy savings. So again, being a nonprofit and not really having that extra money to put into these types of upgrades, being able to utilize this financing program for them was really important. Okay, and then the last thing I want to mention here, and then I think we can open it up for questions. And I did see a couple chats come through. I haven't opened them yet, so I'll look at those after I'm through here. But of course, we're all dealing with these trying times over the last 7 months, and we understand that there may be some challenges that building owners are facing. Well, we know there's many different challenges, but we don't want making your CPACE payments to be one of them. So we are offering some flexible repayment options. So basically, you know, when you come up with a project and we do our underwriting and we close, and you build your project out, once that happens, typically you would just go right into your repayment. But we're offering two different options here of being able to defer your first two payments, which is the option here on the left. So basically you would still accrue interest during that time, but you wouldn't be required to make any actual payments for the first two payment options, cycles, excuse me. And then the second option here on the right, we can also let you just make interest only payments for up to 3 years. So if you think maybe you can make a little bit of that payment, but you won't be able to quite make the whole thing, we're giving you the option to, you know, kind of bite away at it in smaller chunks for the first 3 years. So certainly happy to explore any of these options if anybody has any questions about them specifically. But I think that's where I'll stop here. And yeah, I'll take any questions that we might have. See if I can open up my chat.
Excellent, Alysse. Do you want me to read some for you, or?
Yeah, that'd be great if you don't mind. I'm going to
Okay,
turn my video
sure.
back on too.
So one from Nathan Frawling is, I assume the CPACE obligation on the property goes ahead of the existing bank mortgage. Is that an issue?
That's correct. It does. As a senior assessment, it does go before. And believe it or not, it has not been an issue. We've had really great success in Connecticut with working with mortgage holders and getting mortgage holders to subordinate to CPACE. So one of the reasons that they are able to get comfortable, probably the biggest one, is the fact that it acts as other assessments do. So it's non-accelerating, right? So even if you've got $1 million CPACE assessment on your property, and for whatever reason your bank has to foreclose, maybe that's a year or two's worth of payments that you haven't made, and maybe you've been making your CPACE payments in the meantime. But let's say, you know, 2 years go by, it's only 2 years worth of your $1 million CPACE assessment that would come before their mortgage. So it's actually, the risk there is actually quite low. And mortgage holders are able to get comfortable with that pretty quickly. Plus, they really like the fact that, you know, we're underwriting these projects to be cash flow positive. In bankers' eyes, extra money in your pocket means better repayment ability. So that's always a good thing. Plus, you're improving the asset, right? You're installing solar panels, or you're putting in a new HVAC system. You're making the building better than the one next door potentially. So all of those things combined really help mortgage holders get comfortable. And we've had over 50, I think we're probably close to 55 different individual lending institutions in Connecticut subordinate so far. So we're doing pretty good there.
Definitely. And, you know, Connecticut Green Bank's been a model for the rest of the country. So you guys are definitely doing a lot right. Okay, another question. Paul Murphy asks, what is the typical interest rate on the assessment?
Yeah, so the interest rates are going to vary a little bit depending on the capital provider who's providing the actual financing. The Green Bank is we're the administrator of the program. We're also a lender, and our terms are actually, or our rates are actually fixed based on the term. So our rates range anywhere from 5 to 25 years. They range from 5% to 6.5%, with the most common, and any year increment in between. The most common assessments that we're seeing are 15 or 20 years. 15 is at 5.75%, and 20 is at 6.25%, which again, most projects are also 100% financed, which is something to keep in mind. We're usually not requiring any money down upfront.
Great. Okay, I just had a comment. I wasn't sure if folks know, but Sustainable CT, which is the voluntary rating system for municipalities, awards points for towns or cities signing up to commit to CPACE. So I just wanted people to know that, you know, you could go and get your town engaged and earn it some points on the rating system. So that's a nice bonus.
Definitely.
Okay. Glenn McDermott asks, how are you funded?
How is the Green Bank funded? I think is probably the question. Yeah, so we're funded through a number of different sources, but we are partially funded through the ratepayer fund. So that small charge that everybody has on their bill, the efficiency fund, we're partially funded through that. And we get other funding sources from other places like RGGI, the Regional Greenhouse Gas Initiative. I always get that wrong, but I think that's what the acronym stands for.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay, thank you.
It's so many acronyms flying around.
I know.
Let's see. Well, I just wanted to add that we had a couple ideas pop in actually of companies to connect you guys to.
Great.
Who folks are saying would be potentially a good fit for the program. So that's great news. So we'll follow up with those.
That would be great.
We've got a few more minutes. Does anyone else have any? Okay, here we go. Oh, Paul's asking, can you explain what the municipal points are used for? I'm sorry that I probably took things off the rails there. Paul, so sustainableCT.org, you can go check out the voluntary rating system, and there's 100 or so actions that your town can take to earn points toward silver, gold, or bronze certification level. And so signing up the town for CPACE is one of those that gets points for your town. So that's kind of what I was saying. A little off topic, but hopefully a local connection for you guys. Okay, one more. Nathan Frawling asks, I recall that there have been efforts to set up an RPACE program, residential program. Can you discuss that?
Yeah, I can briefly. Unfortunately, there's not too much to say. We haven't had much success with that in Connecticut to date. I'm sure a lot of you have probably seen some of the bad press that the RPACE, or I guess other RPACE programs in other parts of the country have gotten. In California and in Florida, there've been some not great things happening. So it did kind of put a little bit of a damper on us pursuing it actively here in Connecticut. We do have some other programs that are available on the residential side. We have a residential financing program. It's called Smart E. It's a little bit different than PACE. There's no assessment. It's an unsecured loan. But we certainly have options available on the residential side. Just really haven't pushed the gas all the way down on the RPACE process at this time.
Great. Well, thank you for answering that.
Sure.
Okay, well, thank you so much, Alysse. This has been really valuable and certainly a very actionable step. We've been focusing a lot over the last few days on, let me turn there we go, on how we can take action. And so we really appreciate you going through this. And I hope that everyone listening will not only consider it for your own operations, but also, spread the word. So there's been a lot of great connectivity going on, and hopefully that'll continue.
Definitely. Well, okay. Thanks so much for having me. I really appreciate. Hope I didn't put y'all to sleep on a Friday afternoon, but any questions or anything, feel free to reach out. Happy to have any discussions with anybody about the program.
Excellent. Okay. Thank you so much. Have a great weekend.
All right. You too. Thanks.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.